Right, so Eddie Hearn is over in America. Yesterday he was there in New York for the press conference for the HBO show, and he will not be on DAZN, of course. Will be Daniel Jacobs versus Sergey Derevyanchenko for the IBF World Middleweight title. And today he's over there in Boston for the Billy Joe Saunders versus Demetrius Andrade press conference. And as I showed you guys yesterday in that video, the undercard is looking pretty damn good. And that one will, of course, be on DAZN and Sky Sports for us here in the UK. Now, while Eddie Hearn was there yesterday in New York, he was asked a question about what would it take to make Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder 50-50. Now, as we know, a lot of the Wilder fans for a long time said, we don't care about money, blah, blah, blah. But suddenly now they care. So, and it's a reasonable question. You know, what would it take to get 50-50? In other words, this should get the fight done, right? There should be no excuses from either side, no matter how you look at it. 50-50, fair enough. Now, if you guys look at the video right before this one, where I did Sky Sports pay-per-view numbers over the past many years, and I narrowed it down to the top 30. And yes, it took a long time, believe it or not, to try and jig it around to try to get the top 30. And if you look at the latest Anthony Joshua ones, over 1.5 million pay-per-view buys on Sky Sports. Against Joseph Parker, just under 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. Against Carlos Takam, just under 900,000 pay-per-view buys. And so on and so on. So that's why Eddie Hearn gave the answer of Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury needs to do at least 1 million pay-per-view buys in the United States alone. Forget what BT Sport does, that makes no difference, because the way they look at it is people here in the UK, if they want to watch Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, they'll pay because it's Tyson Fury. Okay, so Wilder versus Tyson Fury needs to do 1 million pay-per-view buys. And as I said, I know there's going to be some people who's Eddie Hearn, he's priced himself out already. He doesn't want to give Deontay Wilder 50-50. Look at it with your sensible head on. If Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder, okay, look at Joshua versus Carlos Takam, 900,000. Look at him versus Joseph Parker, just under 1.5 million, and against Vladimir Klitschko, over 1.5 million. So we know what Wilder versus Joshua is going to pretty much do here in the UK, especially as Undisputed. It's not because it's Wilder, it's because it's for Undisputed and it's Anthony Joshua. From a British perspective, okay, it could be Tyson Fury, okay, which here in the UK would do much bigger numbers than it would Joshua versus Wilder here in the UK, because it's two British people coming for Undisputed. So that would be a bigger fight here in the UK. So that's why they know 1.5 million, potentially more. Maybe Joshua Wilder would do more than Klitschko. It's unlikely, but it could happen. Okay, so therefore, even if you were to base it around the Joseph Parker one, just under 1.5 million, then you know what? It's reasonable to say that Joshua versus Wilder would do around about that as well. Whereas here we pay, what, £21 for a pay-per-view, whereas in America, they're looking at making Wilder versus Fury around about $70. Also, I'm hearing, it's all rumour, of course, until that's released, we don't exactly know. So he's saying about 1 million pay-per-view buys, because that would pretty much balance the books between 1.5 million for Joshua at the UK price versus 1 million versus America at their price. That would make it a 50-50, so that's 1 million. Now, that's a bit of a tall order, no doubt about it, and I know a lot of people won't be happy with Eddie Hearn saying that, but it's his business head on. If you want 50-50, then you have to bring 50% of the money along, as in the pay-per-view. And when Deontay Wilder, he fought Luis Ortiz in arguably his biggest fight in his career, 1.1 million viewers on the free-to-air Showtime, of course. Now, I know that people have to pay the extra for the Showtime already. Okay, I know that. But it's like us here in the UK. We have to pay for the Sky Sports and then pay extra for the pay-per-view. So it's the same scenario with Showtime, HBO, etc. So these 1.1 million people who watched him take on Luis Ortiz are going to have to dig deep and pay for the pay-per-view against Tyson Fury. Bit of a tall order if you ask me, but if anybody can do it, Tyson Fury can bring that kind of attention. So yeah, I mean, for me, Wilder needs Tyson Fury. He needs a Dillian Whyte. He needs Anthony Joshua, certainly. But you know what? We'll have to wait and see. Will 1 million people in the United States purchase Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. Well, let's wait and see. Drop your thoughts below, click that thumbs up, subscribe, catch you all on the next video.